It's authentic.
When we come to your school, we all in the stands with you.
It's inspirational.
Honeybees is more than just about the field show. It's about inspiring young women.
It's groundbreaking.
It was like, oh my gosh, there's a girl trying out for drum major, all this stuff.
From the campus to the community, we cover everything HBCU. It's HBCU 101. What's up, everyone, and welcome to HBCU 101. I am your host, Jaleel Thurman. HBCU 101 is a show that will take you all around the nation, give you the ins and outs of HBCUs and a taste of that HBCU flavor. On today's episode, you guys are in for a show. I have a very special guest from HBCU Buzz. But look, I'm not gonna tell you who, and I'm not gonna give you too much right now. But before we dive into that, let's go ahead and see what's good in the hood with our HBCUs.
All right, thanks, Jaleel. And hey, everyone, hope that you're enjoying the holiday season. If you know anyone that's looking for a job as a football coach, you might want to tell them to get their resumes ready for a trip down south. The SIAC will receive a facelift next season with job openings in football at Fort Valley State, Benedict College, and Central State as well. Kevin Porter picked up a championship during his 4-year run at Fort Valley, but it wasn't enough. He's out as head coach. James Mike White is a coaching legend in the South, but after 5 years, Benedict is looking elsewhere as well. But Coach White will always be remembered affectionately for his 30 years at his alma mater, Albany State. And most recently, Central State University decided to go another direction, and after 6 years, Cedric Pearl is no longer head coach in Wilberforce, Ohio. So a lot of changes in the SIAC, and football is still in the air, guys. Celebration Bowl on the way to Atlanta in a few weeks. That's going to bring a lot of energy here to the city, the home of the HBCU 101 studios. That's a quick look at news, a sports edition we'll call it. Let's get back to HBCU 101 with Jaleel Thurman.
Thank you, Tally, for the news. To those that know him best, he's a family man. While the world may know him as a creator of one of the most influential HBCU brands, HBCU 101 is ecstatic to talk with Bowie State University alum, entrepreneur, CEO of Ellen Company, and CEO and founder of HBCU Buzz, Luke Lawal.
What's up, man?
What's up, Luke?
I'm happy to be here.
What's
We're
good
in
with
hot
you?
Atlanta.
Okay. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
up,
You got your
man?
hoodie on, so I guess you stay cozy.
Yeah, you know. How's it going, man?
Everything's all right, man. Everything's all right. So, Luke, let's talk HBCUs.
Dope.
But before we dive into it, you're originally from D.C.
Yep.
You're Nigerian.
I'm Nigerian. I'm Yoruba. I'm from Ibadan.
Okay.
Ibadan.
But
What's that?
raised in D.C.
Yes.
Your mom went to Howard.
Yes.
Dad went to Bowie State.
Bowie State.
How did you even find your way to make a decision and even go up to Bowie?
So I hung out with my mom a lot. So my mom was still at Howard when I was about, I want to say 6 or 7 years old. She did social work. She did a master's of social work at Howard when I was like 7. So I just kind of hung around on campus. And then once I got to hang with, the greatest fraternity on the freaking planet, Mega Psi Phi fraternity, when I was like that young, I just was around HBCUs ever since. And, Bowie State University was just a great choice for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're on campus. It's your freshman year. You're a Bulldog. What is your experience like at Bowie State? Take us through it.
So I came in as a student athlete.
Okay.
So I came in to run track. It was just like I want to say it was a little overwhelming for me because, leaving from high school to coming into college, it was like, when I was in high school, I had to get dropped off at 6 a.m.s. In college, I just walked to the track. So I felt like there was a little bit of ownership for me.
Okay.
But because everyone looked like me, everyone wanted to help me, and it kind of helped me balance it all.
Okay.
Be a student athlete, be a biochem major, and just figure out who I am while I'm on campus.
Okay, cool. Now, while you're a student athlete, let's talk about some of the accolades because I know you ran track, you played ball. I know you got some trophies. Talk to us about it.
So Bowie State, we won our cross country championship.
Okay.
Our girls and guys, we were amazing. I mean, to be honest, track helped me develop who I was, not just as a student athlete, but just as a go-getter, trying to win, understanding competitiveness, just trying to figure out how I can infiltrate different, techniques to better my craft. In college, it's compete on a different level. So every small detail counts. So Bowie taught me that. And, you know, when I was there, Coach Ladd, she was just amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, even in all my other departments, you know, I was a biochem major, so like being in a biology school is different compared to, I'm not saying throwing shade, but communication and business, it's a little different. Like we had 2 exams. We had a midterm and a final.
Oh man.
And if you failed the midterm, you was dropping the class.
Yeah.
So the professors they kind of just got me up to speed, and I loved it. The ones that were hard on me taught me so many lessons. So many lessons.
So do you feel like the lessons that you learned at Bowie and what you went through while you was at Bowie State kind of prepared you for life after?
Amazing. Oh my God. Like, I discovered who I was at Bowie.
Okay.
I joined the greatest fraternity in the world, and they took me from here and then put me here.
Okay.
And I remember, you know, after I started matriculating my way around campus, and then I joined SGA, and, you know, obviously I was a student athlete, I thought that I had, like, I was at the top of my game. Like, I worked in a club in DC.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know, I was making bread. You know, I was, you know, that guy on campus. And I was just like, you know, I always knew I wanted to be the Buzz, but I didn't know necessarily, I didn't have any family members that were Qs, so I didn't necessarily know what it meant or what it took from me to get to where I needed to go.
Yeah.
So after I joined, it took me from here and then put me here. Everything I knew about life changed. You know, everything I knew about perseverance changed. Everything I knew about manhood was just taken from here and just flipped upside down. So it's just like, if I didn't go through that, I couldn't tell you who I'd be. That's why when people ask me, like, what if I went to a different college? I'm just like, I don't know.
You don't know.
Like, I couldn't even imagine who I would be today. I don't even think I'd be the man I am today if it wasn't for Bowie State University.
I mean, that's a nice little tagline right there for Bowie.
Right.
But speaking of the man who you are today, we're not gonna give him too much right now. But when we return, I really want to talk more about HBCU Buzz and how you kind of identify a small niche that now is humongous in the HBCU world while you're in school. So we ain't gonna give him too much right now.
Okay.
When we return, we're gonna talk with Luke about how he founded and why he founded HBCU Buzz. It's Jalil, it's Luke, it's HBCU 101.
Coming up next on HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
Welcome back to HBCU 101. I am your host, Jalil Thurman, and I have my main man here, founder of HBCU Buzz, Luke.
We kicking it. What's up, man?
We kicking.
What we talking about?
We talking about HBCU Buzz, right? So while you were in school, while you was at Bowie State, you took a trip down to FAMU, and you know you seen the atmosphere down there at Rattler Nation, and was like, "Yo, this is crazy. This is wild."
Yeah.
You know, and then thus out of that came HBCU Buzz. Can you tell us the story? Walk us through it.
So I was at SGA. I remember that year we went to a really dope conference. I'm trying to think of the name of the conference. I think over the summer, it's like a leadership conference. NASAP.
Yeah.
There we go. So we went to NASAP, and I got to like network with some of the kings and queens on the different campuses, and you will really learn that everyone has a different leadership style.
Correct.
So that leadership conference is very important because we get to trade secrets. It's like, how do you run your campus? What initiatives is your administration working on this year? How can we like work and collab and whatever the case may be? And most importantly, network. Right. So, you know, around that year, I just became the Buzz. So I got to link up with more Buzz on different campuses, and that was dope. But I've been to AUC, obviously AGP, and I've been up and down, you know, DC, Maryland, Virginia, going to different HBCUs, but I had never been to Florida. Right. So me and my dogs, we were like, all right, let's make a road trip. When I say I was so impressed by the level of professionalism that campus had, in the sense of like their SGAs, they had separate offices. They were like, you know, they had certain hours where you can come and talk to SGA. It was more of a student-ran campus, like a real business. And I was just like, wow. And I wasn't more so like, bam, you had it all, because there were certain things that I like from Howard or Morehouse or Spelman that we all could learn from, but it was just the fact that I had never been there, and I was just like, it inspired me to realize that there's a lot of things that go on HBCU campuses that people just don't know about. Correct. And me being in marketing, me being, you know, a semi-popular guy, and retaining information at a rapid speed, because I consider myself digital, especially being in marketing. And I was just like, I've never even heard of any digital HBC brands. So obviously I started doing my research and I found, a few here and there, but I was just like, wow, I need to create something that can not just promote HBCUs, but let people know what's going on.
Right.
And then, the more homework I did, I think I spent like 2 months just kind of doing research. Then I started to realize that HBCU students don't have a voice.
Right.
Like I'll see certain things, because now that I'm doing research, I start to pay attention to things differently.
Correct.
So like I'll see a news clip of something that happens at Morehouse and I'll be like, wait, that's not what really happened. So I'm just like, all right, how can I create a narrative with HBCU Buzz to the point we're not just dishing out content that we want people to see, we're being informational, we're putting out facts, and we're, informing the community of the good things and the bad things, but also, enlightening the people that are not on the campuses about what it looks like to go to HBCU. Yeah. And that's what we're most proud of today, because a lot of times people come to our campus and they're like, well, if it wasn't for HBCU Buzz, I wouldn't know or get a good feel of what's going on.
Correct.
And it's like they've been following us since their 9th grade year, and they're like, yo, I finally got to Howard, and now I see what it looked like. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm most proud of. Outside of that, creating HBCU Buzz was so dope because I got to be able to put people on. And that's what I loved most when I was on campus. It was like, all right, if you're a dancer at Alabama State, we can post you and you get 1,000 views that might land you your next position that gets you more exposure, and that for me was what I liked the most, especially when I was an undergrad.
It was like a link.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Absolutely.
Essentially lifting as you climb.
Exactly. It's a lot of bridge brothers. You know what I'm saying? So I like that the most, not just because we were putting people on, but we're also informing people of gems that they might not necessarily know. Okay. Especially from the writing standpoint, we had a lot of dope artists do poems on our site. Yeah. We had a few editor-in-chiefs that got jobs that they wouldn't necessarily got, but because they work with HBCU Buzz, they got the experience that they needed in a real live source that a lot of these bigger news outlets respected. Yeah. So
and that's dope, and congratulations on that.
I appreciate that.
I created my own company while I was in school.
Absolutely.
And so I already know the grind. You know the grind. You know what it takes. But you also took a major leap of faith, right? You ended up jumping and moving from coast to coast,
right?
And you went full-time entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
But we ain't gonna go into it right now. When we get back, we're gonna talk to Luke more about his entrepreneurial spirits. It's Jalil, it's Luke, it's HBCU 101, all right?
Coming up next on HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
Welcome back to HBCU 101. It's Jalil. It's Luke. Man, what's good, big bro? Man, we chilling. We having a good time. We vibing, the brothers in the building. It's always nice to be amongst friends.
Hey, good friends. We only got a couple of them.
Hey, tell me about it. Hey, Luke, you left DC area, moved to LA.
Right.
You took that leap, a major leap, a leap that a lot of people won't take. And you went full-time entrepreneur. You founded a company, Ellen Company.
Right.
Let's talk about it. Like, what are you doing with Ellen Company? I know you got Taper, Shooter Lifestyle. Like, let's dive in.
Okay, I'll give you a timeline. So when I graduated from Bowie, I was always a part-time entrepreneur. Right?
Okay.
I started HBCU Buzz. I actually had a marketing firm too called Skywalk Entertainment, and that's what I funneled a lot of my events through, right?
Okay.
And I was working full-time at Kaiser. When I was an undergrad, I got a biochem degree, and I actually wanted to become a doctor.
Right.
I was thinking about, taking that route. I took the PCAT, I took the MCAT. I did pretty decent. I got a couple schools, but I took a year off to kind of like figure out what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And within that year, I worked at Kaiser because I wanted to get hands-on experience. In that year, I discovered exactly what I don't want to do.
Right.
And that was anything that didn't naturally want me to like do my personality and then my business side. Like, because every day I can be me and still do business.
Right.
So like when I worked at Kaiser wearing scrubs, I couldn't be me.
Right.
And not only could I not be me, but I couldn't do business. So that was the first strike that was like, okay, I need to start taking this entrepreneur stuff serious. One thing I didn't know is that when I was at Kaiser, I was networking with the wrong people.
Okay.
In a sense of like, this isn't my field. This is nowhere near where I want to go. So why am I starting from the ground up here? So then I moved to DC in a sense of professions, and I started working for this lobbyist firm, this association called RFA, and I was more of their marketing analyst, but I did a lot of lobbying stuff. And at that job, it was great networking. I worked with a lot of politicians. We worked on a lot of campaigns and a bunch of different stuff, but I wasn't fully in it.
Okay.
And I knew that for HBCU Buzz to propel, for any of my other business ideas to even work, I had to take a leap of faith and just jump. And for me, the best thing that ever happened to me was joining the Mega Psi Phi fraternity, because I knew that there was certain things I just had to see through, but there was also certain times that I realized that struggling was just not just a part of the process, but it was also what makes the process. Because now I'm 30 years old and people ask me would I pledge again, I'd be like, hell yeah, that was the funnest time of my life. It sucked, but the process was fun. So when I took that leap of faith to become an entrepreneur, I was just excited about the process. I wasn't even thinking about the money. I wasn't even thinking about being broke. I wasn't even thinking about like, dang, I'm gonna struggle. The hustle's gonna be hard. I'm gonna learn a lot along the way, but I'm gonna gain some friends. You feel me? So it was just like,
I feel that.
I knew that the struggle was gonna be hard, but I was just excited for the process because I realized that process is the most important part. So I was just like, I was excited about it, but what made me jump was, the country elected a president that I wasn't cool with. And that was just the camel that broke the back. I knew it was happening in that year, but when, that happened, I was just like, okay, I don't like DC anymore.
You out.
Everybody's in LA. People I want to network with is in LA. People I want to work with is in LA, so I left.
So Ellen Company, like let's talk about it. What you doing with it? What's new? What's next?
So when I was in undergrad, one of the biggest things that I failed at was structure. As a new entrepreneur, like I didn't know contracts. I didn't know incorporation. I didn't know how things were set up. I was filing for taxes with not a lot of money, and I was taking a lot of steps that I thought were right and they weren't. So the first thing I did when I got to LA was I started a new company and I named it Ellen Company. And the reason I did that is because I knew HBCU Buzz wasn't it for me. I had a black book of ideas and brands and things that I wanted to create, and I needed a parent company in order to run it and make sure it was done right. So I started Ellen Company, and the most beneficial thing from that was Ellen Company was the marketing arm for HBCU Buzz. So it's like me and my team, we were focusing on campaigns while HBCU Buzz was focusing on HBCU Buzz. You see what I'm saying? So it's just like I used that as a funnel to manage my projects and all my initiatives.
Okay, cool. Now, under Ellen Company, you got Taper.
Yep.
And you managing Jay Murph.
Yeah, I know, right? So I started Taper. It's so funny because when I was on the Hill, I told you I got this little black book of ideas and brands. So when I was on the Hill, I literally only had, I want to say, a 25-minute lunch break. I got in at 7, left at 7. So what that meant was I never could get a haircut. And when I could get a haircut, I literally only had 20 minutes because it took me 5 minutes to get there and some change to get back. So I used to get pissed when I'll get there and my barber would have a 1 o'clock appointment and he'd be like, oh, I got somebody in the chair, just give me 5-10 minutes. I couldn't wait for 1 minute. I couldn't stop to go to ATM. I couldn't, get there and he asked me to wait. And not only that, but I couldn't afford to go to a barber that would have me wait or would start cutting half my hair and then leave. So what I did was I created Taper to solve that problem. I didn't want to go to ATM, so I created Taper so you can add your card on there and pay with your card. I didn't want to, waste time, so I wanted to make sure the barber had his own set schedule so that you can see in real time on the app if he's running late or if he's running early, so that you don't waste your time in the barbershop. Right. So I created that just to cut all those times down, but I knew that it was a lucrative business for me. It's very expensive to get in the app business, right? But, it was for me something that I knew that my people would need. And that's what Ellen Company is all about, creating brands that solve problems.
We're not gonna let you go just yet.
Okay.
Because we're gonna dive into I Got 5 on it. We gotta play that. But we're gonna do that after the break. It's Jalil, it's Luke, it's HBCU 101.
HBCU 101. Welcome back to HBCU 101.
You all know what time it is. It's time to play I Got 5 on it.
Okay.
Real simple.
I'll let you know.
So look, we're gonna talk yards.
Yards.
Lincoln in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Or Lincoln in Missouri.
Whew. Missouri is so dope, but I got 5 on Lincoln and PA.
Okay.
I got 5 on Lincoln.
I'm sure you've been up there a few times.
Yeah, I've been to both.
Sure
Dope campuses, but I got PA. I like Philly. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you're an athlete of school, right?
Dope.
So we're gonna talk sports.
Uh-huh.
The MEAC or the SWAC?
What sport though?
Just in general. Just in general.
In general? Oh man, I'm gonna have to go with the SWAC.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go to the SWAC.
Now you was an athlete in the CIAA.
Right.
So you've had rivals all through CIAA.
Yeah.
When you were in school, who was your biggest rival in the CIAA?
Me personally, Virginia State. Not because of the basketball team. The Woo Woos. Oh my God.
The Woo Woos?
They were a problem.
That's what I heard.
Oh my God. For I don't care what sport you play.
It's all good. It's all good. It's Jalil, and I'm excited. Why? Because Keisha Knight Pulliam is coming on the set next week. Woo! It's gonna be crazy. Oh, wow.
When I was about 7 or 8, we filmed on the campus of Spelman College. We did an episode of The Cosby Show. And I will never forget, I was enamored, I was in awe, I fell in love.
Oh, wow.
He was like, you're going to Yale, you're going to Harvard, UV, like all of this. And I was like, no, I'm in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to Spelman, but okay, I'll play along with you. Spelman's in the building.
Wow, I can't wait till next week. You guys are gonna be in for a show. That's it for HBCU 101. Luke, thank you for coming by the show.
Thanks for having me.
No, we appreciate you. It's always nice to have good bros in the building. You know what time it is.
Bowie State, you know.
CIAA.
Yeah, I gotta get you a Bowie State. I'm gonna mail y'all one. I'm gonna make sure
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I'll see you next week.